Chapter 45. More details regarding the path of rebirth and becoming one with God. Do you now have an idea of what the spiritual religious worship of the Saturnites consists, and how it differentiates from the ceremonial worship? Behind the spiritual ceremony lies well hidden the service of the Spirit, which is constant, while the ceremony itself is successive in certain intervals of time. Since this part of the religious worship of the people of Saturn is of the greatest importance for the people on earth, I will give you another descriptive example through which you will be able to clearly differentiate these two kinds of religions. Take, for instance, a student who wishes to embark on a career in the arts. Let us assume that he wishes to reach the proficiency of a virtuoso in the art of music. If he would come to you, what would you say to him, and what would be the first step? You would examine his abilities and refer him to a reputable and orderly school and instruct him as to the conditions, or give them to him in writing and tell him, if you completely fulfill these conditions, you will without a doubt become a virtuoso. However, if you do not fulfill these conditions, you will be a strummer, but never a true virtuoso. What will this student who is serious about his virtuosity now do? He will immediately make use of all his external diligence in connection with his inner volition and practice day after day, 5, 6, or 7 hours, as it is required of him. He will also complete the school from A to Z, and he will not practice anything other than those exercises which are necessary for the attainment of his purpose. When the student has practiced and developed in this manner for many years, he will be given by his teachers the encouraging certification that he has attained the level of an accomplished artist, since he now masters the instrument of his choice mechanically and spiritually at any degree of proficiency. Now we have what we need. What was the prescribed practice or exercise for the attainment of the technical proficiency? It was nothing more than the well-ordered ceremonial part of his art cult or art worship. Did he practice day and night without interruption? Oh no! He only practiced the prescribed time necessary for the exercise. How was the state of his endeavour and his will during the exercise? Was his will arranged periodically? Definitely not. The will was without intermission, similar to a good mainspring of a watch, present in his spiritual and natural organism. This drive is the spiritual art cult of our music student, through which he actually becomes completely whatever he has set his sights upon. Once he has become an accomplished artist, what kind of a life will he live? Certainly, he will not live the life of a student. Instead, he will live the life of a free master or maestro. Will he become, on account of that, an enemy of his former life as a student? Certainly not. He will continue as a great maestro to do what he did when he was a student. Only now he will do it with truly great pleasure. He will diligently practice his scales and repeat all the other exercises that he practiced when he was a student, but with a great difference. What he did with great effort, ungracefully and with a great expenditure of energy as a student, he does now with the greatest of ease, without constraint, with confidence and full of inner spiritual significance. As a student, he played the scales, but he did not know the significance of what he played. Now, as a master, he sees in the same scales countless new forms of which he had not the faintest idea before. That is how he, as a reborn master, practices the ceremonial art cult. But this cult is an entirely different kind of hearing, sight, feeling, perception, thinking, and volition. And this is the spiritual rectificatissimus. And it is the all-material ponderous and sensual dissolving combustion power of the rays of his spirit, and therefore by itself a purely spiritual cult. If you transfer this to the actual life of a human being, whether of the Earth, Saturn, Jupiter, or the Sun, everywhere and at all times there exists this twofold divine service, which conducts itself as a path and as the goal or purpose for the path. Whosoever continues to persevere on the path will reach his destination. Once he has reached his destination, the path he has taken will never vanish from his memory, neither from his remembrance forevermore. Not until he has reached his goal will he have a clear and complete view in his spirit over all the turns and relationships of the path he took. You know, the main goal the Saturnites are trying to obtain on their path is nothing but the Great Spirit himself. They wish to become completely one with his will. Once they have reached this goal through diligent practice, then the spiritual religious cult is complete. From this point on, the actual impulse to reach the Great Spirit's will ceases. In its place steps the great, unshakable longing to remain faithful forevermore. And this exceedingly definite and firm wish is continuously the most inner divine service of the most complete spiritual kind of every reborn inhabitant of Saturn. This state can be reached on Saturn by everyone, regardless of gender or age. This concludes the spiritual part of the religion of the Saturnites. Since we have experienced in this manner everything that is of necessity and noteworthy in the mountains, we will shortly take a look at the lowlands, and then take an excursion to the polar regions of this planet, as well as the ring and the 7 moons. That will be all for today.